we're here with our friend Connor, and we're here to talk about, more entertainment stuff. And the first thing I wanted to bring up is, do you think the Disney Plus 6-hour format is just not the best thing to go with? Because I don't think it is.
What TV series in specifically?
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, have you seen all, the Marvel shows?
I haven't.
You haven't?
The last show I saw was The Boys, and it was 8 hours long. And
okay.
I wished it was 13, but 8 is fine. I don't have a lot of strong opinions, so I guess I'm not a good person
for example,
to
with
ask.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan I thought worked largely as a fun, interesting show. It wasn't like anything to write home about, but it also wasn't anything to throw tomatoes at.
It's there.
But definitely,
It's great. Yeah, I thought it really.
I think it's
Obi-Wan
okay.
deserved exploration of his guilt and trauma.
100%.
Yeah.
And
they definitely did. There was some real anguish on Ewan McGregor's face there.
Yeah, but
Okay, but-
however, there's he saw a f***ing genocide. He's literally a survivor of a genocide, and we don't get any of that.
I thought we definitely did. There was a lot of guilt about that, especially because he trained the guy who committed it.
I mean, we see that with Anakin, but we don't see his thoughts on the other Jedis. He had tons of friends and people he was just
the
living with.
whole overarching argument is that story was very surface level, and it definitely could have been longer if they had just went off of, let's make this story and then we'll make a show around that story, and however long it needs to be, that's how long it's going to
Because
be.
at one point they had planned on it being its own trilogy of movies.
Exactly. So the point,
I guess
with
it
the 6 hour
was because
format,
it was a 6-hour thing, right? There were
6 hour. That's including
there were 3 acts of
10
2
minutes
hours
of credits, I guess.
Well, there was 3 acts of 1.5 to 2 hours each, right?
They're 49 to 50, so that's
So
more of
in
one of a
total,
half.
3 50-minute.
Right, but then you also
that
have
starts to get towards
5
a 90
minutes
minute movie
or 3 minutes
more.
of intro, and then another 5+ minutes of credits. So
Sure,
that
sure,
takes
yeah,
it down to
But
30 and 40, 30 to 40 minutes.
The point is do you not agree with essentially with the 6 hour format? How do you feel about them essentially shortening shows? Because again, you saw with Clone Wars, it's 20 episodes, 24 episodes, whatever, and essentially shortening it to this 6 hour format.
I think that's a little different because Clone Wars is meant to be episodic.
Hey, get out of here!
And Clone Wars is cheaper to make. It's animated.
I'm not at the time. They had to cancel it because it was expensive. As
Oh,
shit.
really?
Yeah, that's why it
really?
got canceled. It was expensive as and then Disney bought it, and they're like, "Clone, we're gonna do
Money?
Rebels instead."
Yeah.
We have money,
And then the only reason why, a big reason why it came back is because streaming services are their subscription services. Spend a
Okay.
lot of money you can spend a lot of money on shows and then bring in profit, and they're sort of inducive of we can take a loss, but we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this million amount of dollars in the next few weeks.
So essentially what it is just my view of this is that they should be building the series and the length of the series around the story rather than we have 6 hours, cram the in here. Whereas Obi-Wan should have been a 10 episode, 15 episode thing.
15's a lot.
You
10
think
would have been
it
fine.
deserved a 10-episode run? That
I
Obi-Wan
think
was a strong
for
enough
the character
for
that he was and the significance that he held and the fact that there's so much to get into with Vader and Obi-Wan that it definitely should have been at least 10 episodes of, okay, here's more an in-depth view of Obi-Wan and his trauma, and not just a story to save Leia, but, other
there's
aspects that are, introducing, kind of what he was doing at the time as
There's
a whole.
aspect about him learning how to be a Force ghost, which presumably means he has to go on a large, lengthy spiritual journey. We got none of that.
Exactly. You just get Qui-Gon at the end. Come on, I was waiting for you. Just
You
wanted to see-
you wanted to see the spiritual journey? That would be pretty psychedelic.
If the second season is just him on a spiritual journey and there's a minimal fighting, even
and
if
he's
none, I'd be
writing a
satisfied
beast
with
from the
that.
Neverending Story and going through a big maze with David Bowie at the end or something like that.
No, I mean, look, I'm just saying that,
Sure.
especially with the Inquisitors, they could have hinted at Cal Kestis. They could have hinted at Andor. They could have
I
hinted
think
at the cloning processes.
The reason
They
why
could have hinted
Reva
at
is
so
alive
much.
is she'll show up in Jedi Survivor.
I mean, sure, but
She'll be a great action figure.
yeah, but
Yeah.
The point is, we need more as fans. We need more. Like you said, it's not something for you. You were like, yeah, it was good. It was a good show, but you're not like, oh my god, it's not the best thing. It was for the character that he was. He deserved more, is what I'm saying.
I'm not expecting them to come out with Better Call Saul. I got a Better Call Saul for that.
That's fair. However,
They have
they've
the
been
money to
working
do
on
that,
this
though.
project since before 2018.
A lot of their expenses are in the fact that it's a big sci-fi epic, and they're shooting on those fancy crystal
this was
screens,
like
right?
originally a movie, or an original, like a one movie thing that they had been working on since like 2017, 2018. Then it turned into a trilogy. Then it turned into like a 4-episode thing. Then we got a bunch of stuff. Then we got this.
And
so
this
I
was
think
very
they've spent a
I
lot
think
of.
you're asking for the impossible a little bit because it's like 10 episodes of Obi-Wan.
No,
would
I
mean
think it's
like
a
less
good
of a quality
show.
per episode.
Not
and
necessarily. I mean, it's Disney. They have the money. Like if this was like a very, if this was
was what they spent their money on.
Look,
and this was what they got for their money.
if Marvel, you know, it's not like this is Marvel back in the day where they're having to lease out their characters and sell their characters to make a profit, so that way they don't go under. This is Disney, which makes like billions of dollars a year, and it's like if they really wanted to and actually wanted to tell that story, they definitely could have.
Do you think it would be financially viable to do that?
I mean, yes. I mean, literally, the video game has a better storyline than Obi-Wan did. Like the one
Well,
with
that's
Cal
the
Kestis, with
storyline.
Cal
I guess,
Kestis.
you know,
What was
it's a
it,
critique
Jedi?
of that, but not
However,
their
I
production
have
capacity.
been asking people specifically, like about like people who have also been dissatisfied but know a little bit more, and essentially, the conclusion we sort of came into an agreement with is that the only way for them to effectively get like longer series and stuff like that would be having to make complete structural changes to everything.
Yeah.
And then I
Which
was
I'm
like,
down
and then
for.
another thing I came about, financially, they would have to make a bunch of structural changes in order to financially take hold of it before it starts losing the amount of profit that they want. So then I was thinking about that, and I was talking to a friend last night about it on the phone while I was driving, and we thought, what about ads?
What do you mean?
Like, if they had ads on Disney Plus, would that be enough to offset that cost?
I mean, all you would be appealing to is those that don't want to spend the money.
Yeah,
Like
essentially
the
they would have
$12
to-
a month. It'd be like it'd be a Hulu, where it's
Yeah.
like $5 a month.
Yeah,
and
the
ads.
$7 or $8 or whatever it is now would be $6 fee, $6.
I don't think that that's a big. Disney makes so much money, it's insane.
You don't think having
it'd be a
few
very
million more
it would
a month
It would
would-
be a very small drop in the bucket for Disney. It wouldn't be.
I don't
the
know.
amount
I'm
of money
saying
that
if
you
they
think it
had,
is.
if they were specifically restructured everything.
Do you know how much
even
money they make for like per month with streaming?
Several billion.
Exactly.
Well, not several
I
billion.
think they're
It's-
fine.
And
what,
you
75
don't think
million
they're
times?
allocating their finances efficiently?
No,
I
it's
do
a few
not.
hundred
I
million,
think
my
that
opinion.
it's more than that.
No, it's about a few hundred million.
It's like
There's
You got to
Close
get
to a
Kathleen
billion.
Kennedy
There's
on here and
I-
maybe 100
fight it
million
out.
users.
they're not allocating their funds properly.
Are you
Uh-huh.
sure? Because these things are 200.
yeah, and there seems to be some
250
disagreement about the
million.
math.
You know,
Yeah, if there's
if they have 8
800
million users,
they have 8 million.
but that's just in the U.S. I think, and then they have like
Oh.
out of the
oh
out
yeah,
of
I was
country,
doing
it's significantly
assumptionary
higher.
math and being like the total users times how much it costs per month.
Yeah, it's like $12 a month. You know, whatever. We're on this for too long. But the point I'm making is they should really change their structure to accommodate for telling the story rather than time.
Well, that I can agree with it. You know,
Yeah.
their stories could be better.
Exactly, and that's
But
what I
could
really
they
wanna
be
see.
as
Thought out
mass
in
market?
depth?
I
Definitely.
mean, yeah, sure. It's Marvel Studios and Star Wars. They're huge cultural zeitgeists, and just they have a huge grab on people. If it's week to week, and you make sure you don't release two huge live action shows on the same week, which is another stupid issue, then yeah.
You know, my critique of the Marvel movies is that they're really formulaic, but the formula is there because they have such a huge amount of crew and cast and moving parts that they need to have a simple communication framework in order to make that movie.
Mhm.
They can't make some sort of like nuanced, weird A24 thing simply because of the realities of making something that huge.
I mean, look,
they need to apply. They need to appeal to a mass market, and that means lowering the standards to a common denominator.
If everything was
you know.
Loki, I mean, seriously, if
I mean-
if they did Loki good in this Obi-Wan series, I don't think anybody would have cared because Loki was that good. It felt like I was watching a movie. Like I was genuinely interested to see what was happening next. Whereas Obi-Wan, I was like, I could care less. With WandaVision, I could care less.
That's because
Falcon and Winter Soldier, I
You
could,
didn't
okay.
like that
WandaVision, yeah, there's a lot of people that like it, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I could care less. Hawkeye, I could care less. Like
Hawkeye should have just been a Christmas special to me.
exactly, Miss Marvel. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm not
It
going to
is
say how I feel
surprisingly good.
yet. But
Have
that's
you
my
seen Ms.
point.
Marvel? It's really stylized, which I liked. It's very like in line with Scott Pilgrim, like in terms of like how they shot it. I've seen episode 5. It started off really strong and then it tapered off, and it is falling into the same pitfalls of like having a weak villain and them not really exploring everything that they could have. Like her relationship with her friends just kind of dropped on the second episode, and we didn't really see them again until the end of the 5th episode. It's like, well, these people are supposed to be like her best friends, and like she just went to a different country.
So
and,
what
like,
it sounds
no
like is it's the
interaction
same
with them.
issue where it's not really good
You wanted
writing.
the more
and-
ensemble cast vibe with that, Buffy.
I mean, it's marketed as a teen drama. So when like when she just has to leave and there's no interaction with her friends, and it feels a little out of nowhere. You're like, this, like, I'm not even me. I actually don't like teen drama stuff, but for those who do, and it's specifically marketed as that seems like a bad thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
I guess so, yeah.
I guess so. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
Like
following.
if they're specifically going for a teen drama type vibe and they sort of abandon that, you're like, cool. I didn't like that stuff, but you sort of marketed the show that way. What the like?
look, overall, no, go ahead.